It was early spring when the ducks showed up. A pair of mallards, one male, one female, started visiting my backyard pool. Like it was their private resort. I didn't mind. In fact, I liked the company. They'd swim a few laps, waddle around the edge, and then fly off by sunset. My neighbors even gave them names, Dilly and Duke, but Karen saw them as a biohazard. She came stomping onto the edge of my lawn, arms flapping almost as much as the ducks, carrying her ever-present clipboard and a face full of fury. "This is unacceptable," she barked, pointing dramatically at my pool. "Wildlife in residential water features is strictly prohibited per HOA. Subsection 8.2, no unmanaged fauna allowed." I looked over at Dilly, who was perched peacefully on the pool ladder. "They're just ducks, Karen. They'll move on once nesting season ends. Do you have a wildlife management permit?" she snapped. I raised an eyebrow. Why would I need a permit for ducks that chose to land here? Her nostrils flared. "They are contaminating the water. This is dangerous to the neighborhood. I've already reported you to the HOA, and now I'm calling animal control." "No, actually, I'm calling 911. This is a public health emergency." 911, I repeated Karen seriously. She held up her phone with the same satisfaction a magician holds a rabbit. "Someone has to take action when people like you endanger our community," she made the call, explaining in her most dramatic voice that there were disease-carrying waterfowl loose in the pool, that it was an uncontrolled infestation, and that her neighborhood was under biological threat. She even added, "And the homeowner doesn't seem to care. He's just sitting there watching them." I sure was. I sat back in my Adirondack chair sipping coffee and waited. 15 minutes later, a patrol car pulled up, but it wasn't just any officer. It was Deputy Langston, one of my rookies. He stepped out and blinked in disbelief. "Chief." Karen froze mid-rant. "You know him?" she asked. Langston nodded. "That's Police Chief Dean. He's our boss." Karen turned beet red. "Hi, Langston," I said calmly. "Karen here, called in a 911 emergency about ducks." He glanced at the pool where Dilly and Duke were lazily floating like royalty. Karen jumped in, voice high-pitched. "They could be dangerous. They're unsanitary." Langston bit the inside of his cheek to avoid laughing. "Ma'am, with all due respect, they're migratory ducks. It's spring. This happens a lot." She shook her head. "But the HOA guidelines aren't enforceable laws." I interrupted gently, "and calling 911 for non-emergencies, that is a violation of the actual law." I gave her a steady look. "You've now used emergency services for inflatable dinosaurs and seasonal wildlife. You do it again, and we'll consider it abuse of public resources." Karen opened her mouth, then closed it again. Dilly quacked behind her like punctuation. Langston offered, "I can call animal control if the ducks become aggressive, but they don't look like they're plotting anything." I smiled. "No, they're good, just here for the poolside view." Karen stormed off without another word. By the time she was gone, Duke had waddled up to the diving board like it was his throne. Later that week, the neighborhood kids came by to take photos of the duck guests. A local photographer even asked to feature them in the community newsletter. Funny how fast a health hazard becomes a neighborhood mascot. Karen hasn't said a word about the ducks since, but I did notice she now keeps a duck statue by her garden. Maybe she finally got the message. Not everything needs a citation, especially not nature.